I'm Patty Ann Brown, and you are in the strategy room. A new Quinnipiac poll shows the Republican and Democratic frontrunners, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, winning next week's Connecticut presidential primary. The poll shows Trump getting nearly half the vote in Connecticut, topping opponents Governor John Kasich and Senator Ted Cruz. On the Democrat side, Hillary Clinton bests Senator Bernie Sanders by 9 points. After both candidates won big in New York this week, Connecticut is one of 5 states holding primaries next Tuesday. What does this mean for the other contenders? Joining us now, Democratic strategist Joe Lestingi and Republican strategist Adam Goodman. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So there are 5 primaries next Tuesday, all in the East: Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Rhode Island, and Delaware. Starting with the Republicans, Governor Kasich says the next 7 days are absolutely critical. In his words, it's now or never to stop Trump and save the Republican Party. Adam, do you agree that next week's 5 states are key to the Republican race one way or the other?
Probably, because I mean, we said that so many times before. This is the week, this is the campaign.
Yeah.
It is. Right now, what you're seeing with Donald Trump is not just a homecoming in New York, as we saw just last night, but a regional coming. Remember, he won in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. He's looking solid throughout the rest of the region. He's on a roll. And what Kasich needs, if he's going to be competitive in Indiana, which is the one that follows kind of the roll through the Northeast, he's going to need something called momentum, which he hasn't had a lot of recently, which is why he's trying to stoke up the fires of competition so that he becomes, if possible, as he was in New York to a very small degree, kind of the alternative to Trump. But the no Trump, never Trump, not now Trump, not ever, I think that is starting to pale as the narrative in this race for the Republican nomination is moving more decidedly towards the guy whose last name is Trump.
Yeah. Trump at this point is the only one who could clinch the nomination before the convention. But it is an uphill battle for him to reach 1237. Joe, how significant was Trump's win in New York, and how important are Connecticut and the other 4 states that are up for grabs next Tuesday?
Yeah, it was massive. Donald Trump, by winning as big as he did in New York, pretty much sealed out the rest of the field. I mean, I almost forgot Kasich was still in this race, because if you actually look at the delegate counts, I think Marco Rubio still has more delegates than John Kasich does. But that being said, all the momentum was with Cruz. He had done well. He had really made the statement. In fact, he had changed his messaging a little bit. Remember, he used to be the big anti-establishment candidate, anti-DC. And once the establishment started backing him a little bit, that narrative changed. Now New York rolls around. He finishes in dead last in New York, rolls out of there with 0 delegates. Trump is the only one who can mathematically actually capture the nomination. And as we look at the next states, Connecticut being a big one, don't forget, covered by New York media, covered by Boston media, that's going to be big for Trump. He's going to look good there. Pennsylvania is the big prize. It's got the most delegates up. But if you look at those markets, Philadelphia, a little bit of New York in the north, Pittsburgh, these are going to be interesting groups because it's this mix of evangelicals and blue collar, and how will Trump fare there? If Trump rolls out of next Tuesday with a boatload of delegates and gets even closer to 1,000, any case against him is going to be very hard.
All right. Turning to the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton beat Bernie Sanders in New York by a bigger margin than many polls were suggesting. Now the polls show her ahead by 9 points in Connecticut. Adam, how important for Sanders are Connecticut and these other 4 states next Tuesday?
Now that, I think it's critical for Sanders that he shows some renewed foot in this race. He, like Donald Trump, is talking about a system that's rigged and unfair. His beef, of course, is with the superdelegates, over half of whom actually decided who they're going to vote for before the first vote was cast in the Democratic primary, or caucus rather, in Iowa. He has to do well to continue kind of the narrative that he's trying to create, which is there is a sense of momentum and deservedness behind him that doesn't necessarily attach to the campaign for the secretary that he's running against.
All right. Meanwhile, Ted Devine, a senior advisor to Sanders, says the campaign plans to, quote, sit back and assess where we are after next week's primaries. Joe, do you see him dropping out if he doesn't do well next Tuesday?
I don't know that he drops out. He may do what Hillary did in 2008. He may still continue to go to the convention. They'll make it so that Vermont's the state that puts Hillary over the nomination, so he gets to make this big show of unity at the convention. I don't know that he'll drop out. His message still resonates with a very core group Democrats want to talk to, and that's millennial young voters. So the ability for him to stay in front of a microphone is important, not only for his campaign, but also for the Democratic Party. Now, I'll also say this. You could see it last night. Obviously, Tad's statement goes to this as well. There's some air coming out of this balloon. They kind of see the writing on the wall. Next week is going to be a tough battle for him if he doesn't make a humongous showing, which he will not do. He's pretty much done. So it's more of a Pyrrhic effort, if you will.
All right, Joe.
Hey,
Adam.
Patty Ann.
Go ahead, Adam, real quick.
Oh, just one quick thing to add to Joe. I think that Hillary Clinton needs Bernie Sanders, and however it comes out, and whenever maybe he comes out of the race, he's going to need that sense of mojo, momentum, and excitement that Bernie Sanders has. She's going to have that same thing underneath her umbrella moving forward.
Yeah,
I agree.
Enthusiasm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Joe and Adam, thank you both so much for joining us. And for complete coverage of the 2016 election, go to foxnews.com. I'm Patty Ann Brown. Thanks for watching.